I think that's hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to EduTalk. As you know, EduTalk is a weekly virtual talk show, and we talk about topics in education that directly impact Caribbean national and diaspora people working across the globe. EduTalk, we feature a bunch of topics and people in education. And even if you're not working in education, you have some form of association with education. So we want to hear from you. I am joined here by my co-host, Dr. Barker. And Dr. Barker and I, we started a conversation, a discussion last week on a previous show that we were talking about the countries that actually have really strong preparation, teacher preparation programs in up to their universities and teachers' colleges, tertiary education and preparation for the workforce in education. And then those teachers actually leave those countries. Typically, it's developing countries are what you refer to as first world country or third world countries. And they leave these developing countries and they go to the first world countries or developed countries like America and Great Britain. And even in the Middle East too, that is booming now. And they leave their country and the kids and everybody behind. Normally, they leave a gap in the country. So we want to talk about if it's right for them for the country to take a hold of their get a grip, as so to speak, of the preparation and remittances that these, not just remittances, but the preparation program that is being placed, that these people have gone through, the educators, and it's at the cost of the country. How can they um, sort of get some money back, the money back from the people, or even the system that they have transferred to or transplanted in. Um, what are some of the thinking around this? We're just talking and see how best we can remedy this conversation. Because I'm sure, Dr. Barker, we're having a conversation here, but some people actually back a yard, they're probably thinking the same thing too that we are thinking, or thinking that we probably should leave the people them alone and let them go make their money, and the country is well off. What do you think, Dr. Barker? Let's grapple with the ideas here.
Yes, I'll first begin by saying that, and the caveat is that I am a teacher who, was trained in Jamaica
Yes.
and went to work overseas after a period of time.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty. So part of the thing is I can maybe put my hand up and say I wasn't one of the teachers who benefited from any of the like study leave or anything like that. So when I went to study, I paid for my study, whatever percentage. But having said that, the cost is still significantly heavily borne by the taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I look at it, 20 years, 20 plus years later, is that there is clearly an unequal contract that exists between developed countries and developing countries as it relates to this transaction. The contract is not the same because when I am fully trained in Jamaica, I leave Jamaica as an experienced teacher. And I am able to pick up a job in, let's say, the British education system,
Yeah.
offering experienced teaching. And the only cost to the British government is to
Mm.
pay me a salary. So they are is like just is a free good. You've gotten a free product. There's no investment by you into that product. So for me, that is clearly an issue that is there. Even and looking back, right? And now understanding the impact of the action. And one of the reasons why I would say as a way of repaying that, I've tried to get myself involved in a lot of philanthropic activities, service activities back in Jamaica because I feel that the minimum I can do is contribute back at for free, just give me
Yeah.
time and energy, ideas, insights. And
Hmm.
that's the way I think I can say I try to balance it.
So you
But
didn't leave, Baga, you didn't leave, because I want people to understand, you didn't leave, just like myself, you didn't leave on one of those programs that a recruitment program from
no,
Great
no,
Britain or America,
no,
or,
no, not at all. No, no,
right,
no. I
and you paid for
applied
your
for a
visa.
job.
Yeah,
I applied for a job through a recruiting company,
yeah,
and they contacted me like in August and say, "Are you still available?"
mm-hmm.
And at that time, I wasn't even planning to continue teaching. That's how disillusioned I was.
Oh,
I
wow.
had an intention to open my own school.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I was
man.
available. Put it that way. I was available. I didn't have a job to go to in September.
Wow.
So when they contact me in August, I said, well, I'm free. And
It's
so I
not really
went
gonna
and I
be,
just went straight to a school and
yeah,
immediately
yeah,
was paid by the school. No agency, nothing, just a direct, as I said, a recruitment agency, but a direct. I was interviewed. The school called me another day, interviewed me, and then they hired me. So after they
yeah.
talked to me on the phone, I
Mm-hmm.
remember taking that call just outside the university library. I was on campus at the time.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
just I
oh,
did the call and did an interview on the mobile phone at that time. It's way
yeah.
back, right?
Right,
But the
right.
point is, I got on a flight, came to UK. No, and so it's an interesting conversation because when we talk about a country like Jamaica and its developmental curve, it's difficult to ignore the impact of these kind of migrations. It's
Yeah,
very difficult,
yeah,
very, very
yeah. True,
difficult. You
true.
can't just say, well, so there's an argument that remittances represent income that comes into the country that is not generated in the country. And
Yeah.
having this system of migrating families, providing income to families,
Right.
can be seen as an economic structure model,
Mm-hmm.
can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very interesting one because in a sense, it would be incentivizing a kind of laziness and sloth in the community because you're going to have a lot of people now who just get money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not mobilizing the community to economic growth. It is saying if we can find a way to send people overseas, we will have economic growth.
Mm-hmm.
So these are not really, and none of these people are sending money to invest.
Yeah.
They're buying public goods. So they are not like going away and saying, let's get 10 of us together and build a school.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how they operate. People send money for their kids so their kids can go to school, pay taxi fare, buy lunch, which works to generate the
It
economy.
does.
And
It
that's,
does. It does work. Yeah.
I don't know how much of a model that is because there's no guarantee that you go overseas, you'll send money back. So that can't be an
Yeah.
economics model. They're just using the data that comes in based on a conduct and a culture of sending
Right.
money.
Right.
Not
Uh,
there's no economic model that supports that except predicting that it might continue.
yeah. Let's. So the idea of them preparing. What I and you brought a very good point about the fact that remittances contribute because you hear it in the diaspora a lot that we love your remittances. Every time something supposed to happen in the country of origin, they would say, "Oh no, don't get involved in, the politics and so on. Just send your money. Don't get involved in the schools, in conditions of any sort that we want to tap into. Maybe the Ministry of Education to help. Don't do that. We're here already. We're working with the students and the teachers. But if you have resources, send the resources. Send your money. We want your money. We want the laptops. We want." A couple $100 to a couple $1 million. If you can pump that in the system. Um, no, the idea is also to add to that is the preparation program that the host country put in. So you have a developing country put a lot in, and just as how you shared on the last show about the fact that it's heavily subsidized, the education and the preparation program in developing countries like Jamaica and the Caribbean islands heavily subsidize the people's program to get them through universities, to prepare them to teach, to prepare them to work like police officers and so on, civil servants. It's very heavy, and many people who are thinking and knowing about this thing know that it's a lot of subsidy going into this. Now, the way I have a problem with it is when you're heavily subsidized so much with it, like take for example your parents, and the country is your parent country. You must have an obligation to give back. You must have an obligation to say, no, I can't leave them high and dry, like what you said there. But when it comes on to the economy, we should take a different approach from the leader of our country. We're preparing people for the workforce of the country, and we refer to the people leaving as brain drain because all of the technical skill and intellectual skill is gone, and so you have to start from scratch. So where that is concerned, all of that is concerned. Do we think, and I want us to talk about it, I'm not questioning you alone, but us to grapple with it. Do you think that that Jamaica and other islands or developing countries should focus, change the model from preparing people for the workforce in their country and change the model to preparing people like we are like a fruit tree to these birds, and the birds will come, and when the fruits are ripe the birds will eat the fruits, and and then next season we'll prepare some more. Do you think
It's
that the country
your
should
your
be like
examples
that?
sound more like vultures and carcasses.
Do you think that they should put money in it and then know
I'm
that
staying
for
with
a
the
fact,
vultures and the carcasses to emphasize
right,
the
know for a
importance
fact
and
that they're gonna leave?
so a very interesting paper was published way back,
Hmm.
This paper was published way back in 2006 about the migration of teachers from Jamaica and perhaps the Caribbean. It was written, I remember the name that had stuck to my mind was a guy called Simon Appleton. But the paper was written by about four different authors, four different researchers. But I remember Appleton and Morgan were two of the names. And the paper focused on migration
Hmm.
of teachers from Jamaica. So this we're almost 20 years since this paper was published, right?
Hmm.
Published in the Caribbean Journal of Education. And some of the key points that came out of that paper are relevant to this conversation, right?
Right.
One key part is that there was a direct policy that was brought in play by states in the United States and the UK government to recruit teachers in countries like Jamaica to fill the shortages that they were having in mathematics, science, and special educational needs, right?
Right.
Particularly reading and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And on EAL, like English as an additional language.
Right. Right.
There's a clear policy that to the sense that when we came to the UK had teachers of math and science on a list of teachers that they consider to be shortage. And it means that your visas were expedited by the Home Office.
Wow.
They almost guaranteed to get a visa.
Hmm.
Clear policy to fill their need. Now, the issue with this is that there clearly is an impact on the education quality in Jamaica. And I'll
Hmm.
tell you how. Because effectively, a country like Jamaica is going to lose their experienced teachers who go and teach in a foreign country, but they have to be replaced with who? Newly qualified ones.
Exactly.
So if you are now replacing your teachers with teachers, but you're taking out your experienced teachers, then those teachers, we know that teachers are better every year with experience.
Hmm.
So the impact of that can either be, as I said, inexperienced teachers who might be good, but just inexperienced teaching. You're going to see, because we have shortage of teachers as well, class sizes are going to increase because we don't have enough teachers. We're going to lose we were losing our main teachers, maths and science. So those areas you're going to find maybe teachers who are not equipped or even
Yeah.
trained to teach science and math are now teaching those in Jamaica.
Yeah, we have
These
seen it.
are,
We have seen
these
it.
are real impacts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, as I said, one of the economic benefit is the whole remittance that is sent back.
Yeah.
And it plays, as I say, a significant role in the economy, particularly in the collection of um, foreign exchange.
Right.
But the truth is, most of that money is going straight into consumption. So it's not investing per se. And
Yeah.
it creates a false economy
Not
that
generating money.
because the economy isn't creating anything, it is actually just benefiting from lump sum being
Yeah.
placed. So what it does, it can affect nation building in the sense that people will see migration as a really attractive option and
Mm-hmm.
may not even see any value in being educated. They just want to migrate. Yeah?
Yeah.
They just want to migrate. Now, one of the things that came out of that paper was the government started to think, and to come to your point now,
Mm-hmm.
that obviously they didn't feel like they had the resources to manage to stop people from migrating. So there were a number of conversations that were opened, number of discussions between different teams between different countries to look at something called a managed migration program.
Yeah.
And it comes to your point. These programs, they were aiming to train more professionals for both local and overseas markets to balance the loss of skilled workers with the economic benefits, such as remittance
Mm-hmm.
and the potential return. So you're trying to you're trying to build a model, yeah,
Yeah.
around migration. The problem is, and this is where I'll maybe close,
Yeah.
it's very difficult to understand how a managed migration program works within the context of the fact that Jamaica used to be a slave colony.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to figure out how do you have that conversation without seeming like we're
Yeah.
now selling people on.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so the point is very good point with the article. I think a lot of that is very relevant right now, but
It's
people are not
relevant.
about totally relevant. Two things is the number one, the um the people who are going there, should they be contracted to work overseas for a number of years, even 10 years, and that they have to go back with a type of cultural exchange. So they go there and they make their money. They send back a few dollars here and there. They build their houses and so on. Their family better off. And then they have to go back home because there's a contract from the host country, from the home country. And then the other thing is, and I'm not bashing anybody. I'm just saying, I'm wondering. This is
You're just thinking about a way to
right.
address the issue because
Yeah.
there is an
And
issue.
right. And then the other thing is what you mentioned, because that sat with me, from the last show, is that the countries, such as Great Britain and America and Canada and wherever else, those countries are not paying for teacher preparation. So
They're not
should
paying
they,
for trade. They're just
right, should
benefiting
they
from the
take some money out of their own economic budget to pay the home country
The
for the
problem that you have there, Dan, is
right.
the process would have to become a managed process.
Right, or what you're referring
And,
to.
so a good example would be like this. The closest example that Jamaica currently operates would be the farm worker program.
Yeah,
So one of the issues with farm worker program is that it is heavily politicized.
very, yeah.
So that would be one of the first negative mark against a program that is a government-run program. Because people will see that if it is PNP in power, only PNP teachers get in charge. And if it's labor
Yeah,
right in power, only labor right teachers get in chance.
yeah.
That's the first part of it. Because technically, that's what the farm workers do, you know. The farm workers are seasonal workers that the US just doesn't have and they need people to come and cut cane when cane reaping needs to happen.
Yeah. And pick
They don't
their
have enough skilled workers. We have arrangements between certain companies that will say them get 2,500 people from Jamaica. But to get on the list, it normally is a man link a man and say, I get your bus on the farm work program, sort out your family. Because once a man get on the farm worker program, he can now take care of his family. And
Yeah.
some of them actually just abscond at the end and then get themselves legal and over time send them family, start the family up. So the closest example of this managed migration or managed program is the farm work system. But as I said, it is considered, whether it's true or not, is perceived to be heavily publicized. The second piece is that for that to work, you would need a kind of cooperation between Jamaica and the UK, which is possible, or the US.
Yeah. Yes.
That would amount to, for a teacher to leave the country, they would maybe need to provide a document from Jamaica to say that they are fit to teach, like a fit to teach certificate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They would have to have a certification, something that is the exchange document. So in a sense, an agreement would have to establish between the government of Jamaica and say, if you have a Jamaican teacher and they don't have this document, you cannot employ them. They cannot work in your system.
That
So there's
sounds
a
like communism.
no, but that happens in many countries, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't, if you're in one state in the US, you can't just walk out the next state to teach. You
No.
need their licensing, right?
Right.
So it's not an unusual thing. I mean, in fact, there's been long been a call by many overseas Jamaicans who came here as Jamaicans and working internationally for Jamaica to put in a license, a teaching license.
Certification,
because that teaching license is able to be compared to the US teaching license.
Yes.
And it means that when they apply for jobs, because we don't have a document like that. What we have is academic qualifications.
Yes.
But we have no teaching certification document that someone can say, I am certified to teach in Jamaica.
Yes.
And then someone can say, if you are certified to teach in Jamaica and have this document, we have bilateral arrangements where this document means you can teach in these 10 states only, but in these provinces in Canada and all of UK and some countries in Europe. We don't have anything like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But those kind of documentation, when they're there, the government can have a managed migration system based on that. Because every teacher would have had a number. And it means the government can use that number that is assigned to their certification to determine what proportion of certified teachers are working overseas, what proportion we have in the system, how much does the system need, which one of these are math teachers. At the moment, a teacher can go to work tomorrow, get on a plane Friday, and start working in the US. And nothing can be done. There's nothing. The government, US government, as long as you're happy with your paper, the government can't catch you. The US government not have any reciprocal arrangement. So if we're talking about solving the problem from a managed migration, the first thing that the government need to implement is a licensing system. Every teacher has to have the UK have it, UK have a thing called QTS. You cannot teach in the UK without a QTS, which is separate from your diploma and everything. In Jamaica, we use academic qualifications. That is the difference.
Only,
what they need to do is have, so like in the UK, for example, a teacher who is qualified still need to attain QTS. So they do 1 year of induction in school. And in that 1 year, they need to demonstrate a range of skills compared to a rubric. And if they complete that year and somebody signed them off a mentor, then they now get the QTS, which is a qualified teacher status. And now they can teach anywhere.
They do that here. It's 3 years though. New teacher orientation. NTO, new teacher orientation. Yeah.
But we don't have this in Jamaica. That is why we are the point is developed countries have certain systems in place to manage their teachers and know how many teachers they have at all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
They know when they are short. We don't have any system in place. So if we're looking at something to learn, Jamaica needs to implement a teacher certification / licensing system as a first step to be able to manage, to have a response. Because ultimately, if 300 teachers leave Jamaica and go to UK, and we know that there are licensed teachers leaving the system, the UK government, in receipt of 300 teachers who were licensed, we are now able to look and say, what does that look like as a reciprocal response, right? What does that look like? Does
Yeah.
that mean that they compensate the government for the 80% that they contribute to the thing? Does that mean that they invest in the teachers' colleges by
Yeah.
like sending resources towards
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Does it mean that they offer maybe scholarships and say these are some UK scholarships? If you're qualified, you can get the scholarship and then you don't have to pay for your education. So the government get that taxpayer money back because it doesn't cost. I don't know. These are what people sit at a table and
Yeah.
work out. And they need
But
to work it out so it doesn't look like slavery.
the
So
yeah. The other thing too, Barker, is the membership in unions and what the unions can do to combat that gap when a teacher leaves, or the
do you
tendency
think the
to leave.
unions would see even the unions are interesting because I mean, I think I saw the other day a former president of the JTA is now working as a teacher in the US.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it says a lot about, like how these things are seen,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
it means that people see this as aspirational things,
Hmm.
right? And therefore, I don't know if the union would be interested in a managed migration.
It's a proposal. It could be a proposal.
I don't see,
But
I think
but
they'll
what I'm
fight it.
looking at, even before we look at whether they're proposing it or trying to manage the departure of teachers, is when you look at it, they pay their dues to the union. They they might borrow money from the union as well. And the union, actually, when you mention about the leave to study leave, and you get about 2 to 3 years or even up to 4 years, depending on what you're
Yep.
studying, they get that leeway to go and study. And so some of them will take the opportunity to leave during that time. So how does the union maybe have a stronger relationship with the Ministry of Education in not just Jamaica, but the region,
Yep.
each country, to um to to actually manage teachers' departure before they actually pay back money or even give a couple years of service after they leave the university or after
But
they
the issue
acquire
is,
higher
so,
education. Hmm.
so remember the union's relationship with the teacher
Yeah,
is to ensure that they have the right kind of conditions as they teach in Jamaica.
yeah.
So the moment a teacher is leaving the system, the union's relationship doesn't exist anymore. So the issue that
Unless
the
they
union
owe them
may have,
money. Unless they
well,
owe.
yeah, unless they owe the money.
Yeah,
But the piece here is I don't know if the union would see a certification move by the government as a positive thing. And the
yeah.
reason is they might be worried that it might be used to decertify teachers. As
Very
if the
good point.
government
Yeah,
impose a rule to say you must have a certificate in order to teach in Jamaica. It also means the government can deregister people, which is the case in all developed
yeah, yeah.
countries. I'm
Yes,
not
yes.
saying that the point would not carry. I'm just saying that the unions would see this as something to spend a lot of time getting into the minutiae about what conditions does someone get decertified and who can do it and what's the process, to the point where it might become the focus of it shifts from the intention for a strategic goal for the government
Yeah.
to whether it is politically motivated
Mm.
or whether it is malicious, it is
Yeah.
of malicious intent, or whether it's sinister in the sense that if the government is not happy, they
Yes.
may use this tool 25 years later. So you end up with all of those conversations. But the big picture on this is that somebody needs to be sacrificed in the process. A
Yeah.
minister of education needs to say, I am putting it in. I lose this politically,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Agenda.
because it does affect our teachers when they move, because they get paid as unqualified and underqualified because we don't have the certification to show,
Yeah.
and we don't
One of the
have
things
parity.
I would love
So
to talk to Barker, even if we want to disguise their faces and so on EduTalk, to talk to some of these teachers who actually leave
get some
Jamaica.
teachers and we can talk to them.
Yeah, from go to Canada or Great Britain or even in America here and talk about some of the average conditions that they find themselves working in. If it is good or bad, we're not saying that it's bad in any way, but to talk about the experience, what they have to go through in terms of not having certification and not coming from a system with a certification requirements, and see if they end up doing well. A lot of them are doing very well, but what are the hoops that you have to jump through to get there because of lack of certification in the system?
Yeah.
Because a couple of years ago they were talking about certification in Jamaica and other
Yeah, but
Caribbean islands too,
I know
but it
they'll kill
hasn't
it
matured. It hasn't matured.
because they're going to see it as a sinister plot.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is the function of a developing country compared to a developed one. You go to a developed country, it is considered to be the right thing to have. A
Yes,
teacher who is not performing professionally should be removed from the profession.
yes,
A
yes,
teacher who is molesting the students should be removed from the profession,
yes, yes.
right? A
Mm.
teacher who doesn't should be.
Yeah,
What kind of country are you if you're
yeah,
having a system that says you're worried that so and so is going to lose their job, or
yeah.
if they get caught, they're going to get in trouble? You see, systems like these eventually helps to safeguard students and also safeguard the future of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that should have been done 20 years ago, but
Or
now
more.
is still the time to do it. So
Yeah.
I know, yeah. So I know, yeah. So
Yeah,
share
the
what we
last
share.
point here. Yeah, no, you good is good point. And some people would disagree with us here too, and we welcome the disagreement because there are other factors out there that people might be grappling with. Um, so it goes back to my point, Miguel. The fact is, so with all of that, um, the stress and the challenges that we brought up here, it is right to say that the easier path is to treat the developing countries as a feeding tree where the birds
As
come and eat
carcasses
the
of
fruits,
vultures to
or
eat.
carcasses, yeah, where they come and they take what they need and they leave the
They leave it to
carcasses.
rotten. They leave it to
Yeah,
rot
yeah.
until somebody else come and take another bite.
Yeah, unless we create the system, create some functioning system where we know teachers are going to leave. We're not going to provide a migration management system for teachers. So let's bolster our education preparation program for teachers so that when the others leave, we have more young ones that are much vibrant and much
Yeah.
ready to take over from where the
Yeah.
more experienced ones
Yeah,
leave.
it's
Yeah.
it's a very good point there. The thing though is any attempt to introduce a managed migration program has political consequences
Yeah.
because it will be seen as the government trying to. You have to remember that the backdrop to this is the fact that you could be teaching in Jamaica and making $1,000 a month, or you could be teaching in New York State and making 3,000.
Mhm.
And for many people, that's literally the conversation they're having. They don't care about anything else.
Like living conditions or cost of living.
Nothing, or whether it's a cost to the government or taxpayer, no. The only thing to them is if I stay here, I make 1,000. If I go to New York, I make 3,000.
Yeah, true.
And for them, any attempt by a government to stop that happening, bad mind, whatever, right? There are a number of reasons they'd see that as. Slavery, they'll maybe call it slavery. They want to
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
us in
Iron.
slavery. because I could go away and make three. Now you're telling me I can't leave. So the issue we have right now is that that's the only choice a teacher has to make. There's no moral, there's no ethical side to their
Yeah,
decision making.
true.
They literally need to go, am I happy enough to jump on a plane, get a visa, and go to this country and start earning more? If I am, I'll just go. I don't feel like I owe the country anything. I don't feel like there's anyone that needs to give me permission to do it. I mean, I know a teacher who just go school 1 week and go to the next week,
Oh,
because there's nothing to stop it. What's going to stop it?
yeah,
The
nothing.
school in the United States is not going to go, because there's not even that conversation happens
Yeah,
between
nothing at all.
your
There's,
last job and your new job. It doesn't
yeah,
happen. As
yeah.
long as you apply and you get in, they're not going, okay, we need your last. Not even a recommendation is being asked for.
These are
So
crazy.
the other side of it is that we could have teachers who are inexperienced, teachers who are actually breaking the law in terms of many things, who use this as an escape, and
Mm-hmm.
they're now being employed in school systems there. It's a very simple conversation to have, because the
Yeah,
moment I sat in a meeting to a US official, then brain change. They
yeah,
start
yeah.
realizing I take risks. So yeah, the point is
All right.
we do need to fix that though. And
Yeah, yeah,
and it is something that, as I said, has political consequences, but long term, I don't know how long we can sustain just showing academic qualifications as our way of saying that a teacher is a teacher. They
yeah.
need to show a certification, which means that there's a regulating authority, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who determines the register of who
Yeah,
is authorized to teach, which subject, which grade level, and yeah.
yeah. And the mechanisms are there in the country. They just need to use them.
Yeah,
Barker,
it
we
just
have to close it.
yeah,
But
well, we have
yeah, the closing too for conclusion is it's a good time to have the conversation because it's June now, and while we're talking here, people are planning on leaving these countries, and while
yeah.
we're talking, and they are planning on leaving their home countries to go abroad, there needs to be measures coming from the leadership of the country and the ministry to do something about the
Find
gaps.
a way to make it benefit the country.
Yeah,
If
because
they're gonna have to, if they can't stop it right now,
no,
but they can use it as an opportunity to improve the quality of the country, and maybe look at salaries, which is
yeah,
one thing teachers might
that's
say,
a good, yeah,
or
compensate.
yeah, look at salaries, maybe. I mean,
Build some homes for the teachers too. Give them,
well, salaries is where you saw that problem.
yeah,
If you have a salary, then you are eligible to get a mortgage and then you get a home.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you can stay with your
But
kids.
Jamaica is a place that you never have to work to build a house, because people just send money every month and you buy a block and you build it up, and it's a different kind of setup, You're trying to go for an economic model that remittance super.
It's
Anyway, thanks for the
but yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, good. Everybody, please tune in next week for another episode of EduTalk. If you need to reach us, write to us at edusolutionsintl@gmail.com or write to us too at admin@educationsolutionsinternational.org, at admin@educationsolutionsinternational .org. And
Yeah.
also you can Google us, Education Solutions International. Google. Barker, really, really nice chatting with you again. We'll
Yeah,
talk
man. When
later.
you, yeah. All
Yeah,
right. When
yeah.
you,
Cool.
yes. Good
Cool.
night.
Bye bye.